Is there anyone coming here for the first time today? Oh, okay. What's your name?
Welcome.
Welcome. Sometimes, we're compelled to ask, how did you hear about this place?
I met someone at Lotus View in Brooklyn, and they told me that they came here.
Ah, okay. Thank you for coming. So we say some prayers before we discuss the text for today. It's more or less an invocation of prayer, a prayer that is meant to seek for the blessings of Sri Radha Madhava, Lord Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and his consort to help us guide our thoughts and our spoken messages for the benefit of all. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavala Bhagavad-gita Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Jaya Goranitai 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 Jaya Goranitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai go Haribo, 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 Bo Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotra Satat Sitsimad Divine Grace is confirmed Acharya Shira Abhachan Vin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotra Satat Sitsimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Si Kahao Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gatadara Si Vasadi Si Gaura Bhaktabin Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Yamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Sevandavan Dhamma Ki Jai Simaya Panavadip Dhamma Ki Jai Gangamai Yamunamai Ki Jai Simati Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Bindu Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Samu devotees. All glories to the Samu devotees. All glories to the Samu devotees. All glories to Sisi Gaur and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, again, welcome everyone to this Saturday get-together, spiritual get-together here in Matchless Gift, 26 Second Avenue here in New York. So, text is 68 of the 18th chapter, the perfection of renunciation. This is the concluding chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. The title of the chapter is the perfection of renunciation. Translation and purport. By His divine grace, His confirmed Acharya, Srila Abhachan Vin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. Please kindly responsibly repeat. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees,
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees,
pure devotional service is guaranteed.
pure devotional service is guaranteed.
And at the end, he will come back to me.
And at the end, he will come back to me.
Purport. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad-gita be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad-gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad-gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad-gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad-gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees who are devotees only, and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad-gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home back to Godhead. Umagena Timiranasya, Gena Janasalakaya, Saksur Militam, Jenistus Mine, Si Gorovenum Ha. Cheche Manobistam, Stafitam, Yena Bhutali, Swayam Rupam Kadamayam, Dadati Swa, Padantikam. Pandasi Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodita, Godadhaya Puspavanto Chita Chandra Tamond. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita Gadara, Siva Sadi, Si Gora Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Itinam. Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sonyavadi Pasatya Desatarini. Vancha Kalpataribhya Cha Kripa Sundabhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So this text is very intriguing in the sense that is giving us some insight about the added value of someone who is preaching the message of Godhead. Someone who is explaining the attributes of Lord Krishna. Someone who is providing some understanding to people in general and to the devotees specifically about Krishna's appearance, his activities, his paraphernalia, and how to worship Krishna to be able to attain pure love for him. So this is a very significant position, a very important position, and we find that sometimes we don't seem to understand the value of devotional service because traditionally we are nurtured in a culture of quick fix, here and now. What am I going to get from this? What am I going to get from this person? Well, he looks good, right? What am I going to get from him? This Krishna consciousness you're talking about, the fellow, I remember several years, some decades ago, when I joined the movement earlier on. So we were out every day doing some preaching, and we are in a particular city, a commercial city, and then a gentleman came out from his office, well dressed. He said, "Hey boy, come here." So I went by, and he said, "You know what? These are teachings. I like when the people are presenting these teachings, but I've read your books. I bought some books. I've read them. I don't understand." He said, I mean, he was very confessional. He said he couldn't understand. So, the Bhagavatam explains that those who are not purified in their senses, the senses are not purified, impure senses, it is very difficult to understand the message of God. If one is understanding and appreciating the message of God, it means that he has accumulated krita, punya, punja, heaps and heaps of pious merit. So again, that brings to light the very idea that if someone walks into our midst, someone walks into our temple, that person should be revered. If even we can't physically worship that person, we should worship that person from within. In other words, we should show that person some high self-esteem. Because even Lord Krishna mentions in this very Gita that out of thousands amongst human beings, one may desire for perfection. One may desire for perfection. Huh? He didn't say 61 because I was just reading some things I was trying to get us some data, and then about Trump's impeachment. So 61% of women they're very desperate that Trump should be impeached and removed from office. So Krishna is not saying up 60 something percent. He said out of thousands amongst human beings. He said out of thousands among human beings, one may desire for perfection. That is the reality of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, whether the person is a child, is so-called highly elevated, high-profile person, it doesn't really, it doesn't make any difference. If someone is interested in hearing about the message of Godhead, that person is a special soul. And again in the Gita, Lord Krishna mentions that there is no one who is more dear to him than the person who is preaching or who is enlightening his devotees about his message of the Gita. Not in the past was someone ever dear to him more than that person who is spreading the message of God, this person is spreading his message, who is championing the cause of Krishna consciousness. Not even now, and even in the future. So he goes into retrospect, the present, and then the future. So we find out in research there is what we call variables. Now, a devotee of the Lord who is preaching the message of God, it is like the constant variable. It doesn't change. The interest of Krishna in that devotee it doesn't change. And therefore, he is seen as the most dear person to Lord Krishna. Imagine if someone says, you are the most dear person in my life. You're the most dear person to me. How will you feel? Huh?
Good.
You feel? So, one who is preaching the message of the Gita is most dear to Lord. There is no one more dear to Lord Krishna than that person. And Lord Brahma also echoes this very understanding in his discussions with Narada Muni. Narada Muni is Lord Brahma's son. And so in the Trilokya Upanishad, when in the discussions, because Narada Muni was asking Lord Brahma about the Shingadev Kavacha, and in addressing Narada Muni, in responding to Narada Muni, Lord Brahma said, Sunu Narada Vakshyami, my dear son Narada, listen to me. He said, Sister Putra, he said, you are the best of my, Putra means son. He said, you are the best of my sons. Why? Because the Narada Muni that Brahma was discussing or addressing, he is the spiritual master of the devatas. He travels all over the three worlds. Doing what? Not as a tourist. He travels the whole three worlds, spreading the message of the Gita, and without fear or favor. He doesn't care whether you're going to kill him, because he even preaches to demons. I remember the case, the recorded case in the Harivamsa, when Narada Muni went to meet Kamsa. He told Kamsa that, listen, he visited Kamsa. Kamsa, attended to him very nicely. And he told Kamsa, listen, this Ugrasena, he is not your father. Kamsa said, what? attentive to what he was saying, and he accepted it. I mean, hook, line, and sinker. And so, because we heard from the Bhagavatam how Kamsa imprisoned Ugrasena and all these things, but these are some of the things behind. These are some of the things behind. So, the bottom line is that the devotee of the Lord is so dear to Krishna that he is considered to be more, his worship is considered. Lord Krishna mentioned to Arjuna in the Padma Purana that those who claim to be my devotees, they are not. He said that those who are serving my devotees, so those who are devotees of my devotees, who are dedicated devotees of my devotees, yeah, they are the real devotees I can reckon with. And so, this devotional service, no one is being paid. Can you imagine? You do some service, and there are no financial remunerations. And and then people have been doing it for, decades. No remuneration. Not now and in the future. But out of deep understanding, you have dedicated your lives to this process of spreading the message of God. And also, this is the mission of Lord Krishna when he appeared on the planet 5,000 years ago. His mission was to re-establish the principles of religion and create a congenial atmosphere where people will be appreciative of human value in terms of utilizing it genuinely for the attainment of the goal and mission of human life. Every organization or even everybody seems to have a goal. And in fact, if you don't have a measurable goal, you're not going to make any achievement. You're not going to make any tangible achievement. Therefore, our goals should be measurable. So Krishna's goal was to re-establish the principle of religion when he descended on this planet over 5,000 years ago. And the devotees of the Lord are helping to advance the Lord's mission in terms of spreading the message of the Gita. Imagine this Bhagavad-gita where Prabhu just mentioned before we started that today is Gita Jayanti. What does that mean? This is the day that this book, Bhagavad-gita as it is, that is the day that this book was made manifest. Made manifest in the sense that this book basically is a dialogue. It's a discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna receives lectures, but the lectures were on a battlefield. Can you look? If you're going any school, whether it's kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, tertiary institution, graduate studies, you stay in a comfortable, very cozy classroom. Cozy classroom. But Arjuna's classroom was on a battlefield. And then Krishna had to clear out of Arjuna's doubts. Arjuna had so many things that were like obstacles to his spiritual development and social development. But Krishna had to clear all of his doubts, and ultimately Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. He told Krishna, "Now I'm so surrendered to you. Use me in whatever way you want." So that is the ultimate thing in devotional service. We should come to the point that we're ready to give up all of our doubts, all of our desires, all of our, idiosyncrasies, and, present that at the feet of the Lord, and let the Lord and his pure devotee use those social mental infrastructures for our own growth. Because otherwise, naturally, we do have a lot of complexities in our lives. But then the whole idea of the Gita, and keep in mind, in the discussion between Lakshmiji and Vishnu in the Gita Mahatmya, it is mentioned that in the discussion between Lakshmiji and Vishnu, Lord Vishnu told his consort Lakshmi that look, the Bhagavad-gita is not different from me. So, in other words, this Bhagavad-gita is a deity. It's a book deity. What we do to the deities is what exactly how we have to treat the Bhagavad-gita. Do we keep deities on our laps? No. So we can't keep Bhagavad-gita even on our laps. Because the Bhagavad-gita, according to Vishnu, he said it's not different from him, it's Krishna. It's the book, it's called Book Bhagavad. And therefore, the devotee who is helping to promulgate the teachings of the Gita, which is not different from Krishna, is like carrying the banner of Krishna consciousness and going all over the world, in all nooks and crannies, to be able to create an awareness about Krishna and his message to the world for a positive spiritual and social change. So you find that if someone is doing our will, if we have kids, and then a kid that is very submissive, he is helping or she is helping to do whatever they can to be able to sustain the culture of the family, that child becomes very dear to the parents. And therefore, for the devotee who is helping to sustain the culture of the Gita, that person, he is very dear to Lord Krishna. And therefore, what is important for us on this day of Gita Jayanti is to think of how we could be dear to Lord Krishna. And if we are dear to Krishna, then we don't have any problems. If Krishna reckons with our dedication to his service, to spreading his message, either directly or indirectly, we are guaranteed. We are guaranteed of security. Not just social security, spiritual security. And therefore, it is important for us to understand why some people do what they are doing. Why some people have to give their lives to this system of spreading Krishna's message. And if we become instruments in facilitating the spreading of Krishna consciousness by those who have dedicated their lives to this mission of the Lord, then we get the same results. Because it's like a soldier in a war front. The soldier needs food, he needs some clothing, he needs some medication, and so there are people, there are doctors who are there. There are fashion designers who have to make their clothes. They get also the same benefit when there is a victory in the war. They are all credited, and therefore, for anybody who is helping to spread or who is helping to facilitate the spreading of Krishna consciousness, they become very dear to Krishna, just like Narada is described by Lord Brahma as the best of all of his sons, and also very dear to Lord Krishna. So we want to be dear to somebody. And what is greater than becoming dear to Lord Krishna? So here is a secret to how to become dear to Krishna. And when we become dear to Krishna, Krishna comes to our rescue in all circumstances. I mean, look at the case of mother. What's the name of this mother whose saris Krishna supplied the saris?
Draupadi.
Yeah, look at the case of Draupadi. Draupadi, initially, when she was being, when these rascal people were trying to derobe her, she was initially struggling whether she could protect herself. But ultimately, when she gave up, she shouted, raised her hands up. You know what she said to Krishna? Hey, Krishna, hey, Govinda. Immediately, Krishna came to the rescue. So, to be a devotee of the Lord, to help in spreading His message, spreading His glories, we want to be glorified. People want to be glorified. If you're an artist, a musician, and then you debut an album about the glories of Trump. Basically, you get this attraction, and you'll be able to get some good deal. Okay? Because by nature, we want to be glorified. But that glorification should be dovetailed to Krishna. Then we can reap eternal results. Any other type of glorification that we try to do, when the person is in trouble, we're also going to be in trouble. Or we might be in trouble before even the person. I mean, look at the case of Trump. A number of people who worked for him, who were close to him, who were helping him, they're into trouble, they're in jail. So, if we work for Krishna, we will never be in jail. If we serve the pure devotees, we will never be in jail. We will become completely decastrated from the shackles of material bondage. That is the beauty of service or devotional service. It creates an avenue where we can become really free people to pave way towards entrance into Goloka Vrindavan. Any comments or questions? Yes.
Comment and a question.
Okay.
Comment is that Prabhupada did say that to the book distributors, if you go spend this one life distributing books, and at the time of death you don't remember Krishna, Lord Chaitanya will push his way into your mind and drag you back home to Krishna. So, my question is this. In the purport, it was explaining how this message is really for discussion among devotees. Mm-hmm. So previously, in the very beginning of the Gita, Krishna had said that, you shouldn't disturb the mind of the ignorant. And Prabhupada makes the point that, well, devotees, though, they knowing Krishna's real desire, they'll go out like that. So my question is, when we go out and try to explain Bhagavad-gita, it almost seems like we're going against this idea that it's only for devotees. So do we understand that even though it seems that way, we're actually doing, we're doing, say, a deeper desire, we're fulfilling a deeper desire of Krishna? Sure.
And what I see also, let's expand that. Thank you. It's a nice point you raised. Krishna mentions Mama Evam Su Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Everyone in this world, every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. In other words, there are people who are devotees who are they have unveiled that covering. There are people who are devotees, they are veiled. So we distinguish between devotees and non-devotees, which is good. Characteristically, that is a position of a preacher or a Madhyam Adhikari. So, but on the higher platform, everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna wants his prodigal children to come back to him. Those who are being attributed to be non-devotees, they are still Krishna's children. In other words, they are Krishna's prodigal children. People who have deserted Krishna's shelter. And they have resorted to some other means, some other ways of trying to regenerate their happiness. But then we understand that no one can actually be no one will be able to attain sustainable happiness in this world without a deep connection with Krishna. Because people have tried it And today you become a Chief Justice of New York, and then the next day you are in jail. Oh yeah, so one of the things I like in America is that a majority of people are not above the law. Because if you go through, even the politicians, senators or whatever, judges, a number of these people, they've gone to jail. Once you go contrary, even small thing, there is nothing, forgiveness, nothing like that. Someone pins you down. And therefore, you see, the world is in such a situation that nothing is no position is predictable. No position today I can become a temple president, I can become a GBC, tomorrow I get thrown out of this position. Oh yeah. This is called dualities. What does not change, the constant variable, is dasa, anudas. We are servants of Lord Krishna. That will not change. But say I'm president of the United States, it will change. If even you stay there, maybe 8 years, someone else will take over. That's the limit you can go. But service to Krishna basically means it's eternal duty. And when we embark on this type of service, we get regenerated in our spiritual purification. And that enables us to be able to have a reunion with Krishna ultimately. Sustainable, everlasting reunion. So yeah, the world is creating some difficulties, that people are creating difficulties so that those who are intelligent also, they can lean back and question themselves, why have to pass through all of these challenges? And then the wise will try to figure out how to take shelter of Krishna in a very dramatic, exponential way that could help them to leap ahead and create a stable equilibrium in their spiritual development and social life. Yeah, so Prabhupada allows us, or Prabhupada in his teachings, he wants us to spread the message of the Gita to everybody. And that's why he risked his own life to travel to America from India, not by air. Even air is long; it's a long distance, not to speak of by boat. So that's a big sacrifice, and we should appreciate that and help Prabhupada in spreading his message to all and sundry. So thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes? All right, in the absence. Okay.
I got another one.
Okay.
If nobody else has.
Yes, okay.
I remember back in the old days, and we had a big book distribution party, and this question came up because a book distributor, you're approaching people and you don't know how they're going to react. So a book distributor approached somebody and they began to blaspheme Krishna, and they grabbed the book and threw it on the floor. So my question is there a danger that by trying to present Krishna, we may help somebody go further into a bad situation by the fact that they may blaspheme when we try to present it?
Yeah, that's why we need to be very tactful. The word is tactfulness in our preaching mission. Because people need to be trained. When we join the movement, we are trained how to give class, how to preach, what to say to somebody when you meet somebody outside, when you're distributing books. So there should be some training. Sustainability of our projects, basically, one of the basic factors is on training. So there should be that system where we train people and not just send people to the world field without any deep understanding of what you're facing or what you're doing. Because sometimes if we are not properly trained and we just give the book to anybody we meet, And somebody may just read a book and then, aggravate their own suffering. So if we want to be compassionate, we should be tactful in preaching.
I had the experience. I was taking some teenage boys out to distribute, and we trained them how to distribute. One boy, he was giving out BTGs. So he approached the man and said, "Sir, would you like to look at this?" We told him to be very respectful. The man said, "Oh, let me see that." And he looked at it in front of the boy. He ripped the magazine in half. The boy came back crying because he was what? So my point here is, we may be trained, and still, with everything, we may somehow stumble upon somebody that is so antagonistic.
Yeah, but listen, that's the point. Even in experiments, that's what we call within the limits of experimental error. Okay, you have to create. The world is not. Everyone is not perfect. So no matter how careful you are, it's just like no matter how careful you are, you get sick. What's the name of this guy?
Howard Hughes?
No. There is this African American. He was a very famous musician. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. He made a cage for himself. So he doesn't get sick. But anyway, he died also.
Howard Hughes. Pralananda Swami gave a class here one time. He talked about Howard Hughes did the same thing.
Okay.
Like a special room, no germs could enter. But they would slip his food through like somehow some germ came in and he just got sick and died.
He wouldn't let anybody in the room unless they were wearing like a spacesuit.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But a little germ attacked his body, he died.
But the germ, you can't even see it. I mean, a germ is so infinitesimal, you can't see the germ. So, no matter how, so my point is, so even in preaching, no matter what you do, somebody will come up being funny. Yeah. Anyway, so in the absence of any other questions or comments, okay.
I have a really quick question, Marsh.
Yeah.
This is the older version. Right? So in the verse, for one who explains the supreme secrets to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. And then in the newer version, it says pure devotional service is guaranteed. So it makes it seem like devotional service is not pure. So it emphasizes pure devotion.
But there are different stages of devotional service.
Okay.
The other one is a generalized statement. The other one is this one is specific.
Okay. All right. All right. That helps.
Yeah. Yes.
So the purport, the first sentence of the purport is that it is advised generally that Bhagavad-gita be discussed among devotees only. Can you maybe explain for us who is considered to be a devotee? Yeah.
You see, that's what Murali Vadaka was also hitting on. So the emphasis, especially in the Asian Vedic culture, in the Vedic system, has been that the Gita is devotional service is a sacred thing. It's just meant for few people. People who are born in India and in particular settings. But Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, they broke that jinx. And therefore, I also want to bring up this, that you see, one of the reasons why the Krishna consciousness or the Vaishnava system did not spread globally, like other traditions. Even Buddhism has spread so much. There are so many institutions. They're teaching, Buddhism and all this stuff. Our system, we are very much far behind. And even now, even in our Krishna consciousness in ISKCON, we don't so much value education. If you don't plant people in educational field, if you don't spread your mission through education, look at what the early Christians did when they were spreading the Christianity. And so, this very statement, the Bhagavad-gita, the reason why that is mentioned is because when you're talking about Bhagavad-gita is not different from Krishna, so you discuss about Krishna, right? And then you say, Krishna says, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From me comes remembrance, forgetfulness. For all the planets are coming from me. And then someone also has read and said Krishna was playing with some girls in the night. I think in Europe, I can't remember the exact place, some nuns took devotees to court. Poland? Okay.
In Greece too.
In Greece too. Okay. So, but then the argument was that these people are saying that Krishna is God. But look at what Krishna has been doing. He plays with people's wives. He plays with all these young girls, unmarried girls in the night, and all this stuff. And they call this person God. I think in that case, I was referring to the judge of the case, dismissed the case. Acquitted. I mean, he just dismissed the case. They didn't have any ground. Krishna is in the heart of the judge. Okay. So yeah, frankly speaking, when you say discussion of Gita should be among devotees, and who is that devotee? It's like the pastimes of the Lord in the 10th canto with the gopis should not be discussed openly because people will miscue. They will become offensive. And so when we say Gita encompasses, Krishna's claims and Krishna's activities, and he is persuading Arjuna to go to war. What you said, this person is God. God is supposed to be about peace. He was persuading someone to fight, to kill people, without understanding the background of the narrative. So yeah. But Lord Chaitanya has given us the empowerment, has given devotees the empowerment. Go to every nook and corner of the globe and spread the message of God, spread the message of the Gita. So, and the results, we have seen the results, a number of people who are ordinarily speaking, malicious, and they have become devotees. And so, yeah, initially that was the assertion because of the setting. But then, in the globalized era, Lord Chaitanya said, go everywhere and preach. Initially, even people, sadhus, they don't go outside of they don't cross the Indian Ocean. Oh yeah, there were so many restrictions. They are afraid of falling down. Coming out, crossing the Indian Ocean, it means you're going into Maya. You're looking for trouble. So yeah, that was a genuine reason. But now, with the help of, with the empowerment of Lord Chaitanya, this movement, this Bhagavad-gita is being spread all over the world on a global level, and is really been accelerating exponentially. And the results are also there. People who were not exposed to Krishna consciousness, who are not even from Hindu backgrounds, and they have become, Goswamis, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. So that is the effect of Lord Chaitanya's mission, Lord Chaitanya's empowerment. And so yeah, that was there, but now the reverse is the case. When empowerment comes, things change. And it's only the Lord who can create those type of sustainable change. The Lord or the pure devotee could create that type of sustainable change. Yeah.
And Maharaj, it's interesting that so in the Bhagavad-gita, where Krishna in places like towards the end of the 18th chapter, right, where he emphasizes that this knowledge should be taught should be discussed amongst devotees, and then as you mentioned, how Lord Chaitanya says, wherever you go, whomever you meet, you should teach them Bhagavad-gita, be their guru. So it would seem, without looking deep into not just the context of the direction, the instructions that Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita and Lord Chaitanya is giving in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But also if you look at the philosophy behind Krishna's directions, you can see how actually there's no contradiction, because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining how everyone's a spirit soul and everyone's actually a devotee of Krishna. Mm-hmm. So actually when Krishna says that this confidential knowledge should be shared amongst devotees, that actually means every living entity. So it's sort of it takes a deep it requires a deep an intent to look deeply at the truth, to be able to understand how to see side by side these instructions that are apparently contradictory.
Yeah, I mean, they are not really contradictory, because Krishna's words in the Gita encapsulates Lord Chaitanya's statements also.
Right.
Yeah. So, thank you. Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one thing, this idea of look at this Krishna, he's dancing with the early Christian missionaries who came to India. They used that very effectively to convert. How could God be so immoral? And on the point of explaining the Bhagavad Gita, my own little experiences, I've had opportunities to deal with people who right away you could see they were very strict Christians. Rather than say this is the Bhagavad Gita, to present a philosophy that they could relate to first, they become a little bit comfortable with the idea, and then you can be this is what it says in the Bhagavad Gita. Because ultimately in theistic traditions we find a great similarity. And if you can present the philosophy of Gita in a way that it resonates with their own understanding, that opens them up to be able to hear, this is from the Bhagavad Gita. So you don't immediately say, Krishna says, Gita says, but rather you present the philosophy. This goes along with what you're saying. You train a preacher how to preach, how to approach somebody tactfully, so you can understand this person may react to the idea of Krishna, but if you tell them God is great, God is the source of everything, we're all God's children, then they say, yeah, and they can begin to hear a little bit.
All right, so thank you very much for all of your contributions. We'd like to draw this curtain.
One more. This is a follow-up on the comment that Subhangana made and Glikariya seconded about nuns suing the devotees.
Okay.
So I'll just this is a very short. Mm-hmm. With the spreading of Hinduism worldwide, a nun in Warsaw, Poland, filed a case against ISKCON. The nun remarked that ISKCON was spreading its activities and gaining followers in Poland. She wanted ISKCON banned because its followers were glorifying a character called Krishna, who had loose morals, having married 16,000 women called gopis. The ISKCON defendant requested the judge. ISKCON was the defendant. So the ISKCON defendant requested the judge, please ask the nun to repeat the oath she took when she was ordained as a nun. The judge asked the nun to recite the oath loudly, but she would not. The ISKCON man asked permission if he could read out the oath for the nun, since she refused. Go ahead, said the judge. The oath said, in effect, that the nun is married to Jesus Christ. So then the ISKCON man said, Your Lordship, Your Honor, Lord Krishna is alleged to have married 16,000 women only. But there are more than 1 million nuns who assert that they are married to Jesus Christ. Between the two, Krishna and Jesus Christ, who has a loose character? And what about the nuns?
That's interesting point.
Devotees sometimes are given some intelligence from Krishna.
Sure. Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, so Krishna consciousness prevails. The people may stand as obstacles. They may try to stop the preaching, but Krishna comes to the rescue. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.